Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another video for Fear the Walking Dead. We have official confirmation now that Austin Amelio's character Dwight will in fact be crossing over to Fear the Walking Dead in Season 5. And I'll put the link in the description so you guys can go ahead and check this one out from comicbook.com. This one has sort of been, I want to say, rumored for quite a while, or there was a lot of speculation around Austin Amelio's character of Dwight going forward in the Walking Dead television series universe, and kind of the question of whether or not he might be crossing over to Fear. He did not return for the Walking Dead Season 9, and he was a huge concentration in Seasons 8 and also Season 7, and you know, back half of Season 6 as well, too. He was kind of the major villain before Simon and Negan had showed up there at the end of Season 6. So he was in the series for a long time. Even in the first half of Season 6 and Always Accountable, he was in that episode with Daryl and Sherry. And so, you know, he's basically, you know, that's, if you want to count it, 3 full years of The Walking Dead, he was a forefront character and a forefront important person to have in the show. And of course, we have not seen him this year. And there was some kind of rumors that I had heard online, just chatter, that maybe he might appear in the second half of The Walking Dead Season 9, but it looks like that's not, in fact, the case. Some people thought he might be involved with the Whispers, and it looks like he's not. He's not. Dwight is not a Whisper from the looks of things. So that means that basically, from what we see here, it's been confirmed that we will in fact see him in Fear the Walking Dead. So you have another crossover character. I want to say, is it the, well, you could kind of include Rick and Carol and some of the others that talked to Morgan, because they were technically in an episode of Fear the Walking Dead, which was really cool. If you guys remember back to the Season 4 premiere of Fear, which I thought was great. But this is a character right here with Dwight that's going to be crossing over and staying, I would think, probably permanently. Like, he's going to be on Fear the Walking Dead going forward, which is really cool. I mean, I personally, my thoughts on this one is, I think this is great for Fear. You know, if you're not going to have him in the original series, and it would have been cool to have him over there as well, too, because that's a long-running character that is well-established, has been in several years of the series, and maybe somewhat like Jesus or somebody on that kind of a level who's been there for that much time, and kind of the post Alexandria period, or the post-finding Alexandria, and then these characters kind of started to come in. So they've been in the series for several years now, and it's hard to make, it's hard to develop those new characters to get to the same level where the audience cares about them as much as it is your characters that have been there for a long time. Dwight's journey throughout the Walking Dead is, I think, an awesome one. He starts off as a hardcore villain. Actually, let's Always Accountable. So even there, he's not a hardcore villain. He starts off as sort of like a possible ally, and then it kind of twists to a villain as he kind of robs Daryl and leaves him there, right? And then after that, he comes back as a full-on villain, and even Daryl says to him, "I should have killed you," and then he says, "He probably should have." So he's a significant, a hardcore savior villain, and then he kind of goes back and forth on that, continues with that in Season 7, comes back a bit with that, and then in Season 8, of course, is on the Survivor side and flips on Negan. And so right now, I want to say he's probably on kind of the ally side. Now, what will he be in Fear the Walking Dead? I think he'd probably be an ally. I think they could probably use him more as an ally than as a villain. That said, they do need some villains, and having a strong threat would be good. We don't know how many years after All Out War Fear the Walking Dead is going to take place in. So it could be right after kind of the events of All Out War, and finding Dwight kind of a little bit after that, in between, following along with the Morgan crossover in close proximity in terms of time. Or it could be way further after some time skips in Fear, like a lot of us think they'll probably do, because of course the original Walking Dead series has skipped 7.5 years after the end of All Out War. So the 6-year time skip and the beginning of the season time skip. So it's way ahead. So we're thinking that Fear's got to at least skip ahead a little bit to catch up in some way. So it says the Walking Dead star Austin Amelio is headed to Fear the Walking Dead to serve as the next crossover character between the two AMC shows. Having been entirely absent from The Walking Dead's 9th season, Amelio will reprise his role as Dwight on Fear the Walking Dead. Comicbook.com has learned from multiple sources involved with the series the move follows the crossover lead previously carried out by Morgan Jones as actor Lennie James. James joined Fear the Walking Dead in its 4th season and has since become the show's lead actor, with Amelio, James, Jenna Elfman, Garret Dillahunt, and Maggie Grace all having joined Fear the Walking Dead within the past 2 years. The show continues to transition away from its original cast and into something new. So then it says original cast members Alicia Debnam Carey, Coleman Domingo, and Denai Garcia remain on Fear the Walking Dead to begin Season 5. We'll have to see if they all survive all the way through. A lot of us are, I think, hoping that Alicia and probably Strand at least survive out of the original cast. You got to keep some people from the original start of the series still in it. Otherwise, it doesn't feel at all like the same show, which it already kind of doesn't anyway. Dwight was last seen on The Walking Dead's 8th season finale when Daryl exiled him from Alexandria and told him never to return. So it sounds like in the TV series version, that's going to be the case. It looks like he probably never will return. So does that mean that Daryl's going to fill in the comic book parts of Dwight in the TV series version? I would tend to think probably yeah, but also maybe fill in some roles for Rick as well too. We're going to basically the Walking Dead original series is going to be Daryl's show from now on. It's going to be Daryl, Carol, Michonne, and then we'll see, for the others. But it's basically, if you had to pick one person to stand out, it's Daryl's show now, in my opinion. And then Norman Reedus may not like that, but that's what I think. I think it's Daryl's show. It appears Dwight is doing just that, allowing Amelio to head to his home state of Texas. So I didn't know he was from Texas. For production on the Siblings series, which is set years prior to The Walking Dead's current Whisperer storyline in Season 9. We'll see how many years, because that's a long 7.5 years is, it's a huge difference. So we'll see how it goes. Speaking to members of the press at San Diego Comic-Con 2018, the Dead's Universe Chief Content Officer Scott Gimple, the Gimp, right? Gimple, was quick to not rule out any possible crossovers in the future, despite The Walking Dead seeing a massive time jump. It does not rule out more crossovers, he said. That's about all I got to say. It does not. But I wouldn't expect it all the time. Things could happen. You never know who might pop up on Fear the Walking Dead. That includes The Walking Dead and potential people in the past from Fear the Walking Dead. So we could actually see maybe some characters go the other way, which would be kind of cool at some point. I hope they do that. I hope they do have a character crossover the other way. Either way, I do think this was a smart move for AMC myself, because this in essence allows them to branch out The Walking Dead further, and instead of just getting your 16 episodes, now you get your 32. You have The Walking Dead cast has sort of been split off between the different projects. So you have, some of the cast of years prior, Morgan and Dwight over to Fear. Rick goes to the movies because he can pull the movies by himself. Those 3 movies he can pull, all the viewers and just by him. He's got enough pull. And then you have Daryl and the others on the original Walking Dead canon series to kind of hold it together. Even though I do think it probably does, in all honesty, if we're being totally honest here, it probably does take away somewhat from the original Walking Dead series. Like, it makes the original Walking Dead series maybe not as heavy of a roster as as it could have been if you still had Rick there and you still had all these people there. But this just makes a lot of sense for them to do. It's producing even more, and you really think about the Walking Dead comic book series, it's one comic. It's one storyline that gets released once a month. And then you look at how much AMC is doing with the property, with the Walking Dead television series universe. They got the movie coming up. They got the original canon series with Whispers and Daryl and Carol and everybody else, Michonne. And then you've got the possibility of them building up new characters in the Judith and the newer characters that are being built up now in the original canon series, RJ. And then at the same time you have in Fear the Walking Dead, you've got basically a new direction with those other characters that have crossed over here. And so you can kind of add to that. You're adding in new characters, you're building new, and then you're keeping a few of the old. Maybe not as many as some of us would like, but hey, it is what it is, and we'll take what we can get. So, yeah, so that's cool. So personally for me, I'm really happy they're doing this because, with Fear the Walking Dead, the roster was so small, and after those character deaths in the first half of Season 4, a lot of us just really didn't know if it was going to have enough characters that we cared about to keep watching, and it really feels more like now, I think, that they're really bolstering their Fear roster more and more all the time, and you're starting to get to the point. You got Daniel coming back, you got Troy coming back, you got Dwight crossing over, you got Morgan, you got did I say Daniel Salazar? Yeah, I said, well, maybe him as a villain, which could be cool depending on what they do, or Troy as a villain. We'll see. And then you've got the other characters they've started to build up, the new ones, Al and the others. And then you got the original characters of Strand, Alicia, and Luciana. So, you've got a pretty good roster starting to build up. It's starting to look more like Fear is a little bit more bolstered, and the original Walking Dead series right now feels a little bit, even though it still has more characters, I want to say, if you count them all out. But the original Walking Dead roster feels a little bit lighter because you've taken a lot of those key ones out of it at this point. Jadis, Rick, of course. I didn't even mention Jadis, right? But she's there. She's one of them. Rick and the others. So, yeah, man, good stuff. And I think with these videos, we'll I'll try to kind of, as we're going through them, though, in the future, because they're kind of creating a more cohesive television series universe with all the different series kind of going in and out together, crossing in and out together with the different characters. The videos, as we're doing them, will start to become more, I think, cohesive as we're discussing. Like, this is a Fear the Walking Dead video, but of course it's also a Walking Dead video in general. And of course the comics, so we had a new issue of the comics on Wednesday, so that was cool. So, we're kind of putting all this in together now. Boyd Crowder says, this is from before this news, he said, Fear the Walking Dead is a mess now. All these new characters would still have made great additions to the show if they had stuck to the original storyline. John, June, and Althea could have met up with Madison after the dam explosion and assisted her in her search for her family. By episode 5, everyone is reunited. So, it depends. I mean, you could have, of course, done some things with it for Boyd. You could have done things differently with it, for sure. But, they're bringing another one. They're bringing back some characters from the past. The original Walking Dead series this year has jumped ahead so far. It's crazy. So, it doesn't, after seeing this first half of The Walking Dead Season 9, it doesn't make Fear the Walking Dead look as crazy as it did before, seeing as how far they jumped ahead mid half season. Like, literally, episode 5 going to episode 6, it's 6 years in the future now. So, it's kind of crazy the way the whole thing has kind of played out. But I guess, in the long run of things, they're trying to kind of, I guess, revamp Fear. Obviously, they have revamped Fear. But maybe, all in all, they have a bigger, broader vision of this here, of this being kind of a more world-oriented, universe-oriented type of TV product. And they want to kind of sort of, take it from what it was before, where it was disjointed, and, really kind of use all the advantages they have of bringing all these things kind of together. And they're still separate in some way, but they for sure feel a lot closer now. When you see Morgan come into Fear, it feels more like the original Walking Dead. When you see Dwight cross over, it feels like more the original Walking Dead. And then they've still kept on a few of the characters, and if they're bringing Daniel back, that adds another, and Troy, that adds another. So you're bringing back more of the original. So you're kind of getting an amalgamation between the two, and you're kind of starting to kind of mesh them together. Of course, it would have been cool if they had kept, all of the original cast of Fear, I guess, or most of it, but they couldn't because Nick had to leave. With Madison, they made a decision. Why is that? Don't know, but I would suspect that maybe budget has something to do with it. Maybe they had to pay her a lot, and then they had these other people coming in, and then they got to pay Morgan a lot too. So, Lennie James a lot as well too, so maybe that's why. Maybe they can't have both a Madison and a Morgan. Maybe you got to choose between them for Fear. Not the same for the original Walking Dead series, so we don't know what that decision process looked like. They've never entirely explained it, but I would suspect that probably has a lot to do with it, right? Or they just want to have a big character death to kind of keep the series popping and keep people watching because maybe it was in jeopardy of being kind of shut off or something. I don't know. Even though the ratings have not really rebounded or spiked that much of Season 4 from Fear, from what I can remember. Justin Walsh says, I'm glad they're bringing Troy back. He was the most interesting character in the show for a while, and I was genuinely peeved when they killed him off so unceremoniously. Season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead was an absolute bloodbath. There's no question about that. It was just crazy. It's an awesome season, man. Watch it back. It's probably better than Season 4, to be honest with you. But Season 4, it revamped the whole show, and it allows them to do stuff like what they're doing now, and it makes it feel more like Walking Dead than Fear did in the past. when the timeline was so far away, and it actually might be even further away now, but you guys get what I'm saying. The whole crossover idea, I'm glad they went back on that. At first they were saying that they were never going to do that, and I'm glad they went back on it and they decided to do it because, I mean, who knows otherwise? You know, even though it had The Walking Dead in its title and you had zombies around, Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead were way different, and now they're starting to feel more similar to each other than before. And in a weird way this year, where Fear the Walking Dead revamped its whole show and did all these time skips and all this different stuff, timelines going at the same time and then joining at mid-season finales and stuff. And then you see The Walking Dead start to kind of do some really interesting things with the timeline too. So, pretty cool, man. There is a comment from Kirkman from the Walking Dead comic book series about its timeline. It turns out it looks like, okay, I'll just read it through and then we'll give our thoughts. In issue 186 of the Walking Dead comic book pages, Kirkman was asked by a reader how much time has passed in the apocalypse. As is standard for the zombie drama writer, Kirkman steered away of pinning down a definitive answer, but gave a bit of info for readers to chew on. So it looks like in his mind, he says, the comic is more than 4 years since issue 1, though closer to year 5. The Walking Dead editor, Sean Makowicz, said, I probably butchered his last name, sorry, Sean. If we're not there already, a lot of times passed recently with every trip to the Commonwealth. So, you know, I guess what they're saying is they're about close to about 5 years in the comic book series for the entire comic book series storyline. So again, the television series, way different. They just skipped 7.5 years and a half a season. So way different version than the comic version where they've only been like maybe 5 years in. Do you like that? Do you not like that? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And then where Fear is at now, we're going to have to see as well too. But I feel like Fear is starting to look a lot better, and I'm really happy about this news. And I'm looking forward more to Season 5 now than I have been in the past before. Still saddened by some of the choices with Fear in the last year, but hey, you know what? It's okay. And, you know, maybe it was necessary for them to change things up a bit for Fear. Maybe they felt like they had to because it just wasn't, you know, doing what they thought it could, or they wanted it to be a little bit more like the original Walking Dead than it really was, aside from just having zombies in it and, you know, that type of deal. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. And if you like this video, please don't forget to thumb it up. Leave the comments. Let me know where you guys at with this one. Are you still excited for Fear? Do you care? Do you want to see Dwight in Fear? What are you thinking about this one? And how do you feel about its effect on the original Walking Dead series? Do you think it would have been better if they would have just done Walking Dead 16 episodes by itself and none of this other stuff? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And subscribe if you're new. Like I said, thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for watching. And thank you to everyone who supports the channel through Patreon. I really appreciate all your guys' help. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.